Now I recognize the gentlelady from Michigan for her 5 minutes of question, Ms. McClain.
Thank you, and thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing. I want to start with you, Dr. Lyons. You're the Chancellor at the University of California, Berkeley, and you've been at the university for how many years?
I was an undergraduate there and came back on the faculty just over 30 years ago.
Okay, so you've been around, you've seen a lot of things. Do you believe that Jewish students feel safe on your campus?
I believe that most Jewish students feel safe on our campus.
You think there's any that don't?
Yes.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
Well, I think there are Jewish people that don't feel safe in lots of parts.
I'm not talking about lots of parts. I'm talking about the university in which you are in charge of. Why do you think that is?
I think there is anti-Semitism in society, and
I'm not talking about society, and I appreciate your diversion of the question. I'm talking about the university. So why do you think Jewish students don't feel safe at your university in which you're in charge of? Just curious.
Well, I think part of safety for most people is, some of it is physical, some of it is more emotional, and am I being harassed, but not necessarily being confronted with potential violence. So I've admitted already there is anti-Semitism on campus, and I think that
and I'm asking a simple question. Why do you think that is? And we've spent almost 30 seconds you avoiding the question.
Well, I do believe that public universities are reflections of society, and I believe that the anti-Semitism on society is present on our campus.
Do you believe you can influence the direction and how people feel on your university? Do you have any influence on that? Do you believe the actions that you or your staff or faculty members take have influence on that?
Yes.
I would agree. Are you committed to taking the action to making sure that all Jewish students, as well as all students, feel safe on your campus?
I am committing to striving to reach that goal, correct.
Wonderful. Okay. So just quickly, if a black student's home was vandalized with a noose and racist graffiti and a note was left saying that you're next, would you consider that an example of racism or discrimination?
On its face, personally, yes.
Wonderful. Well, in December of 2023, while you were a senior executive there, a Jewish student's home was robbed, and a note was left saying, F you. They wrote out the real word. Free Palestine, from the river to the sea. You think that's helpful for the Jewish students?
No.
No. What action did Berkeley take?
I believe that predated my time, but what I can say
It predated your time as chancellor, but you were there as a senior executive.
Well, I don't know this for a fact sitting here, but I am almost sure that that was reported and that was investigated, and
And what was the result?
It is hard.
I mean, it's great that we report it and we investigate it, but you notice the one thing that's missing is like the result. Okay, all right. In your testimony, you rightly acknowledged Hamas's invasion of Israel as a terrorist attack. Dr. Makdi, a professor of history at Berkeley University, on the other hand, said, I could have been one of those people who broke through on the siege on October 7th. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, I can't speak to...
I know, but you're a pretty intelligent man, or at least come off as a pretty intelligent man. What do you think he meant by that?
I'm not...
Put yourself in a Jewish student's,
Look, I think I want to separate the phrase from the person. If I heard some other person...
We can't separate the phrase from the person because of this professor who works at the university in which you are in charge of. So as much as we want to separate it and dance around it, let's not, because the person that works at your university said this. So I would like to know, because you're so educated, and you are, and you tout yourself at that, and you've earned that, what do you think the professor meant? Hello?
I believe it was a celebration of the terrorist attack on
Right.
October 7th.
Right. Do you think, did you have any conversations with this professor?
I've had conversations with this professor, yes.
Yeah, and what was his response? And what were the conversations?
He's a fine scholar, and
That's a fine scholar that spews hate, and the people who pay, the students, don't feel safe. That's great, he's a fine scholar. I'm sure there's a lot of murderers in prison that are fine people too, fine scholars. But they do some pretty nefarious and heinous acts. So you want to explain what the conversation was?
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Saved by the bell. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentlelady. Now I recognize the ranking member of the committee, Mr. Scott from Virginia.